Hi, this is Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus, Threshold of Hineni, and I'm just answering questions that I've gotten as I have extended the invitation for sharing my devotions with anybody who's interested next month, January 2019. And one of the questions that I've received was, what are devotions? Because I say that I'm going to share my devotions with you. And that's a really good question. What devotions are, I guess the easiest answer is that it's time spent with God and focused on God. And that can sound a little confusing because we know that as Christians, as believers of Christ, we are with God all the time. He never leaves us. He stays with us. His Holy Spirit is inside of us. And so what is this with devotions? And so I thought that I would illustrate this in a way that relates to the book of Ephesians that we're going to be in January. And that's simply that Paul in chapter 5 says that we as believers are the bride of Christ. Okay, so my husband and I are married, obviously, or he's my husband. But we're not always spending time together. Now, it falls apart a little bit at this point because, of course, God is always with us. He's never away from us. But just bear with me. So today, Bill is up at our house in the mountains, and he's been up there all day. And so he's away from me. We're not spending time together, but we're still married. And that doesn't change. And we connect with each other throughout the day and through text messages and through Facebook Messenger and even by phone and talk to each other, and we stay in touch that way, but we're not together. And then there are other times when we're companionably together. You know, maybe we're both sitting and reading, or we're both watching a movie together or something like that, but we're not really interacting. And then there are times when we're interacting. And sometimes it's about things like grocery shopping and what needs to be on the list, and what do you want for dinner today, honey, and what do you want for Christmas, and things like that. And then there are other times when our conversation is much more intimate and it's things that we wouldn't talk about with anybody else. That is what devotions are. We spend time with God all the time, and we can be intimate with Him all the time. But this time, devotional time, is a time that is set aside to just focus on God, not anything else, to really listen to Him, to explore what His Word says, to spend time in prayer, to spend time listening. And it's one of those things that is like, the Bible doesn't say you have to do this for your devotions. There's a lot of room for creativity and for what fits our personality. And so everybody spends their devotional time differently. So that's just my explanation, I guess, on what devotions are. And for me, even, I spend my devotional time differently all the time too. I'm kind of disciplining myself in January to stick to one specific thing so that I can demonstrate for you how this can work. But I want you to know that I do my devotions differently all the time. And like I said before, I have a hard time sticking to one thing because I'm just like, kind of like, ooh, I get bored. And I want to just do things a little bit differently and change it up and everything. And God's cool with that. You know, He knows me. In fact, He doesn't just put up with me, He created me. And so He celebrates that aspect of me. And that's a really cool thing, because a lot of times I feel like I'm less worth. I have less worth because I am not able to do something that somebody else does. Well, God created me to be a certain way as an individual, and He created you to be a certain way as an individual. And so, even though I'm going to be showing you how I'm doing my devotions, I don't want you to think that this is how you have to do yours. It's just a way of showing you some possibilities. And if you want to do exactly what I'm doing because that would help you, then that's fine too. But anyway, but devotions are just spending that really intimate time with the Lord, and it's really good. It's really helpful to set aside a time each day to be able to do that, or a place. If you don't have a time, it's kind of signals to you, okay, now I'm in the sanctuary, kind of thing. But again, it could be any place, and it doesn't have to be in the same place all the time. It's just, as human beings, a lot of times it's helpful if it is either at the same place at the same time, or there's some common link, so that we kind of know, okay, now I am focusing on the Lord. Anyway, that's my take on what devotions are. That's what I mean when I say it. And I hope that you will join me in January as I go through Ephesians on my own. And I would love to hear the insights that the Lord gives you too, because He will probably give you different insights than He gives to me. So like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to follow along. Be sure to comment if you have any questions, or just want to say something, say hi, or tell me something that you, maybe the way that you do your devotions, if you're somebody who already has a devotional time with the Lord. I would just really love to hear from you, and I hope that you'll join me. All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.